Okay, guys, let's wrap this up. Week 4 of March, and let's go into trust-based structure. And so you're building systems that you can rely on. Okay. So as we close out the month, we got to talk about trust. And I don't mean trust as a belief. I don't mean trust as some confidence, but I mean trust as something your nervous system either has or doesn't. Most people think that self-trust is built by providing them, I'm sorry, by proving themselves, right? So we're out there going, I've proven to myself over and over again that I can. They think that self-trust is built through how good their follow-through is, or by doing what they said they would do. And okay. But real self-trust doesn't start there, right? We've talked a few times about which comes first, right? The chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? So real self-trust doesn't start out there. Self-trust starts when your body learns, I'm supported enough to try again. I'm supported enough to go forward. I'm supported enough to be here, right? So when the structure collapses, you know, the general thought process is, or the assumption is that they failed. And structure in and of itself, right, doesn't collapse because you don't care. It collapses because from a nervous system perspective, it felt unsafe. So if the structure is consistent, if the structure consistently demands more than your system can give, your nervous system learns something real quick, like, right? It learns, this isn't reliable. And once something feels unreliable, the system is going to resist it. And that resistance can look like procrastination, avoidance, forgetfulness, sudden loss of motivation. But underneath all of that is a lack of self-trust, not in your character, but in your structure itself. Look, this trust is not built through intensity. We've talked about this, right? It's built through predictability. So when your body knows energy won't crash unexpectedly, recovery is allowed, and nourishment is consistent, which is important, right? That structure begins to feel safe, and safe structures are the ones people return to. So our body does all kinds of things, right? Like if our nourishment isn't consistent, it knows, like, hey, this is going to be sporadic. Oh, give me a little food today, but tomorrow, right? Like, and I'm going to go extreme, right? Like, so people that, eat all weekend long, but then starve themselves during the week, your nervous system is like, okay, here it comes. I'm going to store it, because what I do know is that I don't know, right? Like I can rely on this for a few days, but I can't rely on it consistently, right? So we want that structure to begin to feel safe. And then that way the body can say, like, hey, I know I can return to this. And protein plays a very quiet but powerful role in that trust building, because consistent protein intake is stabilizing your blood sugar. And when our blood sugar is stable, our emotional volatility gets reduced. And then that reduced volatility increases predictability. And predictability is what teaches the nervous system, cooperate with this. But when nourishment is inconsistent, the system learns to brace, stay alert, to conserve energy. And bracing for that, like that type of bracing in your nervous system, is the opposite of trust. This, my friend, is why people can want change so deeply and still feel unable to maintain it, even when they get a little taste of it. Right? The system just doesn't feel supported enough to believe it's safe to continue. And support changes that. When the body experiences steadiness, the nervous system becomes more willing to engage with structure. Not because it's being forced, but because it feels resourced. Right? It feels resourced. I have all the resources I need. I have all the resources I need to keep going, right? I know how to pace myself. I know what level of energy to expend here. That structure is rooted in self-respect. Well, when it's rooted in self-respect, right, it sounds a whole lot different, okay? So instead of sounding like, can I make myself do this? Instead, it sounds more like, let me be smart here, right? Let me ask myself, can I rely on myself to return to this? Right? There's a distinction there. Trust-based structure is flexible. It allows for recovery. It adjusts without punishment. And over time, that flexibility creates something so powerful, right? Like it's hard to describe, right? But it does create something powerful. And it can feel like confidence without pressure. And this is how people stop starting over and over and over and start stabilizing. It's never through force, right? It's through a system cooperation, right? Like your physical body and your mind, right? Like your emotions, they all need to be cooperating with each other. You can't expect for this to perform at high levels for you without sustenance. Emotionally, you can't expect yourself to perform. If your nervous system is off and the energy feels like this, the vibrations, I know you know what I'm talking about, right? Like whether that's frustration, fear, whatever it is, like, right? That's not stability. So this week, and I know this one's real short because we're just wrapping it up. Hopefully that by this time in the month, right, you've really done a lot of observation. You've done some testing. You've really investigated how much protein you're actually taking in. Perhaps you took some time to research for your own age, medical needs, whatever, right? Like your own things to see like, hey, how much protein do I, an individual body, individual person need for optimal full health, right? Maybe you've done that. Hopefully you've been observing what it looks like for you when you have low protein intake and when you have optimal protein intake. Hopefully you've been observing right? Each week I've given you a prompt of things to notice. So hopefully you've been doing that. Perhaps some of you have reached out, and I've helped you learn the navigating of how to start doing this for yourself, with yourself. But anyway, so this week, to wrap up, right, like this month of work and noticing protein's effect in your system, I want you to sit with it, right, and notice where structure feels supportive instead of heavy. So you might, be asking yourself some questions like, what feels easier to return to now? I want you to notice where trust has grown quietly, where recovery happens faster, right? Like where that self-talk has become gentler, because it's not accidental. It's the structure doing its job. Now, if you've done nothing different with your protein intake, you're not going to be able to do these integration focus items, right? You're not going to be able to answer where my structure feels more supportive instead of heavy now. You're not going to be able to answer what feels easier to return to now. You're not going to notice where trust has grown quietly, or where recovery happens faster, or where self-talk is gentler. Because if you haven't tried, nothing is different. So self-trust isn't built by pushing harder. The knowledge alone isn't going to make it happen. It's built by supporting yourself consistently. And structure that respects the body, the mind, the emotions, right? It has to respect the body for it to be structure that will last. I'll see you next month.